during the game and everything, I always hear his voice, like in my ear. I'm like in certain situations, certain everything. Like in a lot of situations, and I know his expectation for me. His expectation for me is the highest than anybody is. So that's where playing for him my whole life made it easier to come and play anywhere else, because his expectation, what he has done for himself, even being a player where he understands quarterbacks and everything.
The entire NFL community is still trying to comprehend what truly transpired and what it means for the future of one of the league's most dysfunctional organizations after the Cleveland Browns made a decision that was so shocking, contentious, and potentially franchise-altering. Imagine this completely bizarre situation. While the player who was deemed entitled by NFL scouts and fell all the way to pick 144 after being passed over by 31 teams is now in charge of a franchise worth $4.8 billion. A third-round draft pick is sitting on the bench, fully healthy and medically cleared, watching his NFL career potentially end after just 6 starts. This is the part that will completely astound you and make you reevaluate everything you believe to be true about how NFL teams function. Within the next 30 days, the Cleveland Browns will have to choose between using 2 first-round picks to draft another quarterback and possibly ruining the careers of both of these rookies, or trusting this 5th-round reject. Cleveland is making the biggest mistake since they passed on Patrick Mahomes, anonymous NFL executives are yelling. Given the utter string of catastrophes this team has experienced at the most crucial position in sports, fans are calling this the most crazy quarterback choice in 26 years of Browns mayhem, which is really saying something. The fact that the player on the bench is no longer injured is the cherry on top, adding to the surrealness of the whole situation. He's just finished, but he's fully recovered and ready to play. His chance vanished. Not as a result of a disastrously awful performance, not due to problems off the field, not for any other reason than the coaching staff's conclusion that the 5th-round pick offers them something that the 3rd-round pick just cannot. Even NFL insiders can't agree on whether Cleveland just found their savior or set their entire franchise on fire for the next 10 years, because what you're about to hear is so startling and unbelievable. This is a tale of failed talent evaluations. 2 young quarterbacks whose careers are on the line as executives, coaches, and supporters debate what should happen next. Organizational desperation and the harsh realities of NFL competition. This is the tale of how the Cleveland Browns went from having 2 rookie quarterbacks vying for playing time to having one sit on the bench and watch his dreams fade away, while the other battles for his career, knowing that even if he wins, the team might still select his replacement. The announcement made by Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski on December 9, 2025, caused a stir in the NFL and sparked discussions in every front office, coaching room, and sports bar in the nation. Cleveland's starting quarterback for the rest of the season will be rookie Shedeur Sanders, son of NFL legend Deion Sanders, who slid all the way to pick 144 in the draft after being passed over time and time again. Completely stop. No hedging, no rotation, no competition. Everyone else is observing from the sidelines, but Shedeur Sanders is the one. But hold on, because this tale becomes much more complex and worse. Dillon Gabriel, an Oregon quarterback, was selected by the Browns 50 picks ahead of Sanders in the 3rd round just 7 months ago. They had enough faith in Gabriel to select him as their first quarterback in the draft. It wasn't inspire them, their purported franchise response following years of disastrous failures in the role. They made a substantial coaching resource investment in Gabriel's growth. During training camp and the preseason, he was given first-team repetitions. He was this football team's undisputed starter for 6 straight games. Gabriel is currently sitting on the bench while Sanders controls Cleveland's offense, and possibly their entire organizational future. Gabriel has been medically cleared from the concussion that briefly sidelined him, and is fully healthy with no residual symptoms. Even NFL agents who have seen every scenario imaginable describe this decision as one of the most brutal and career-ending things they have seen in years. This isn't a young, attractive prospect replacing a seasoned player. This isn't a struggling athlete losing his job because of subpar play. This third-round rookie made 6 starts, displayed some promising qualities, suffered an unavoidable injury, and was later fired permanently in favor of a 5th-round pick who did well in his place. Gabriel's career trajectory will be severely harmed by the precedent this sets and the message it conveys. It also raises awkward questions about how the Browns assess talent and make decisions. There is more to this than 2 rookie quarterbacks vying for playing time and one of them emerging victorious. This has to do with something much more significant and intricate. This is about a team that has 2 first-round picks in the 2026 draft and is in a position to select in the top 5. The team is debating whether to select a different quarterback or to finally commit to building around what they already have. Additionally, the pressure surrounding this decision is suffocating because Cleveland's competitive path for the next 5 years, and possibly the next 10, will be determined by what they do with those premium draft assets in the next 4 weeks. To understand how we got here, you must first understand how badly the Browns and seemingly every other NFL team misread Shedeur Sanders as a prospect. To do that, let me take you back to the NFL draft on April 26, 2025. Many analysts projected Sanders as a first-round talent. In some mock drafts, he was selected between picks 10 and 25. Draft experts argued over which team would be brave and astute enough to sign Deion's son early and take advantage of his unquestionable arm talent and college output. All 32 selections were made in the first round, and surprisingly, Shedeur Sanders was absent. No team selected the Colorado Star, despite teams taking quarterbacks, offensive linemen, edge rushers, and other positions. When the second round started, Sanders would undoubtedly come off the board at this point, right? Despite selecting offensive linemen, running backs, and linebackers, teams have yet to select Shedeur Sanders. The question became more audible. What are the factors causing teams to overlook this type of output? What transpired during medical examinations or interviews that alarmed everyone? The Browns were on the clock at pick 94 when the third round began. This seemed to be the ideal fit. After years of quarterback dysfunction, Cleveland was in dire need of a replacement. As the most talked about and closely watched college football prospect for 2 years in a row, Sanders was sitting there available. The fit was apparent. Then, to the complete surprise of everyone, Cleveland chose Dillon Gabriel from Oregon. Without a doubt, Gabriel was a stellar college quarterback with truly remarkable stats. His 6 full years of college experience, 155 career touchdowns, and FBS record for total touchdowns gave him a level of maturity and game management that most prospects just do not have. However, scouts had been discussing Gabriel's clear physical limitations for months. His height of less than 6 feet causes sightline problems in the NFL. After 6 collegiate seasons, some evaluators questioned whether he was nearing his developmental ceiling, raising legitimate concerns about his arm strength and his ability to drive the ball into narrow windows against elite NFL speed and athleticism. When the Browns chose Tennessee running back Dylan Sampson at pick 126, they once again passed on Sanders. After actually trading up to secure the selection, Cleveland finally selected Shedeur Sanders at pick 144 in the 5th round. Conspiracy theories, opinions, and takes abound in the NFL world. How did the son of primetime, a quarterback who played behind one of the worst offensive lines in college football as a senior at Colorado and threw for over 4,000 yards and 37 touchdowns, end up in the 5th round? What did teams observe that resulted in this disastrous slide? Media outlets began receiving extremely harsh evaluations from anonymous scouts. According to a longtime AFC executive, Sanders makes you feel small, whatever that means, and their interview with him didn't go well. He was labeled entitled, spoiled, and uncoachable by another anonymous assessor, who questioned his ability to manage coaching and embrace his position in an NFL locker room. There was a ruthless backlash against Sanders from some sections of the scouting community and media. Debates on Twitter centered on whether Deion's fame and extravagant personality had actually hurt his son's draft prospects by causing teams to worry about handling media circuses and family drama. Because Colorado football received so much media attention while Sanders was there, ESPN analysts wondered if he had been overrated. Additionally, the Browns appeared to believe those unnamed rumors and character issues over the game tape, the statistical output, the 2 years of Sanders playing behind one of the worst offensive lines in college football, and his continued dominance with his arm talent and decision-making skills by passing on him twice before ultimately choosing him in the 5th round. However, at the time, no one understood this. Cleveland's coaching staff is just now starting to fully understand what draft analysts completely overlooked. They might have committed the biggest error in talent evaluation of the decade. The kind of disastrous error in judgment that results in the dismissal of general managers, haunts franchises for generations, and serves as a warning about the perils of placing too much importance on the concerns of anonymous characters and too little on-field performance. Now fast forward to Week 11 of the Browns vs. Ravens game on November 16, 2025. For 6 straight games, Gabriel started at quarterback for Cleveland, recording a 1-5 record during that time. For those hoping he would become a franchise mainstay, his statistical output was worrisome. Gabriel only averaged 5.1 yards per attempt and completed 59.2% of his passes, which is just above checkdown territory. With a total QBR of 24.6, the Browns' offense was ranked last in the entire NFL. Out of 32 teams, dead last. It's not mediocre at all. That is awful historically. Gabriel had displayed glimmers of the accuracy and decision-making skills that had enabled him to be so successful at Oregon. For a novice, his processing speed was obviously advanced, and he demonstrated an amazing grasp of route concepts. However, the physical restrictions that pre-draft scouts were concerned about were manifesting themselves every week in ways that were impossible to coach away or circumvent. Gabriel's lack of arm strength prevented him from attacking tight windows against elite NFL speed and athleticism in pivotal third-down situations where the Browns needed to convert to sustained drives. He had to move in the pocket more than ideal in order to locate throwing windows because his small stature made it more difficult for him to see passing lanes over taller defensive linemen. However, what transpired against Baltimore was not a performance-based benching. Everything was altered by this terrible injury. Gabriel took a devastating hit late in the first half from several Ravens defenders who converged at the same time. He remained in the game for one more play, moving cautiously and clearly confused. Gabriel was promptly removed from the game in accordance with league protocol after reporting concussion symptoms to the training staff at halftime. Gabriel finished his day and made his NFL debut under the most trying conditions by completely firewalking Shadur Sanders. In the confusion of that game and the weeks that followed, most people missed this crucial detail. During that week's practice, Sanders had taken exactly 0 first-team repetitions. Not at all. Nothing. For the majority of the season, he was the backup to the backup, receiving limited reps with third-stringers and scout teamwork. Gabriel's unique skill set, timing routes, RPO concepts, and quick decision-making plays that didn't require exceptional arm strength was the sole focus of the offensive game plan. The offense that was being thrown at Sanders wasn't designed to play to his strengths. In that first game, Sanders only completed 4 of 16 passes, with an interception due to lack of preparation time against one of the best defenses in the NFL. Ravens 23, Browns 6 was the final score. A complete and utter defeat. Members of the media jumped on the performance right away. You see, this is precisely the reason he lost in the 5th round. The character issues were legitimate. NFL speed is too much for him. Upon reviewing the tape, however, Kevin Stefanski, to his credit, noticed something entirely different. Even though the statistical line was objectively ugly, Sanders maintained true pocket composure under duress. He made a number of downfield throws of NFL caliber that Gabriel was physically incapable of making. The following week, he demonstrated his ability to attack vertically with a 66-yard touchdown pass against Las Vegas, which fundamentally altered the way defenses had to tackle Cleveland's offense. The Browns were forced to reevaluate everything they believed to be true about their quarterback situation after Sanders did something that completely stunned everyone in the room. He became the first rookie quarterback for the Browns to win his first start since the 1990s, when he defeated the Raiders 24-10. It's more than just a sentimental tale. For a team that has failed so miserably at producing quarterbacks, that is a real organizational milestone. After completing all the necessary procedures and assessments, Dillon Gabriel was cleared by the NFL's concussion protocol on November 25th. He was completely healthy and ready to resume playing football. The majority of NFL teams adhere to an unwritten rule that is regarded as fundamental fairness. If you were the starter at the time of your injury, you do not lose your starting position. However, Kevin Stefanski publicly and resolutely disregarded that rule. Gabriel's chance to regain the starting position was effectively eliminated when he declared that Sanders would start again against San Francisco in Week 13. Consider the significant effects that choice will have on the careers and futures of both quarterbacks. Stefanski was not claiming that Gabriel's medical limitations prevented him from playing. Regardless of Gabriel's health, he was claiming that Gabriel wouldn't play because Sanders offered the Browns something that Gabriel just couldn't. Just 6 games into his NFL career, that's a ruthless message to send to a third-round pick, and it shows how drastically Sanders altered the coaching staff's assessment in a few games. Sanders completed a season-high 64% of his passes against San Francisco in Week 13. The result was not good. The Browns lost 26-8. However, there was no denying that Sanders' offensive prowess, communication skills at the line of scrimmage, and pre-snap flexibility were all superior to Gabriel's. Then came the match against Tennessee in Week 14. The performance that completely altered the situation and made everyone reevaluate Cleveland's potential 5th-round selection. With 364 yards, Sanders became the first Browns quarterback of the season to pass for 300 yards in a game. He became one of only 3 rookie quarterbacks in NFL history to throw 3 touchdown passes and add a rushing touchdown in a single game, joining Joe Burrow. Yes, a potentially game-winning drive failed, and Cleveland lost 31-29 in a heartbreaking manner. Yes, Sanders made a few errors, such as attempting to force a throw and doing too much in a critical situation, which resulted in a poor interception. For the first time in years, however, the Browns' offense appeared truly dynamic, explosive, and dangerous. In less than 2 years with Cleveland, veteran receiver Jerry Jeudy has played with 7 different starting quarterbacks. He said, "It's good just to have one guy you can create that chemistry with and not constantly adjust to different throwing motions, timing, and play styles." Stefanski made the decision public and official on December 9th. The quarterback for the rest of the 2025 campaign will be Shadur Sanders. After just 6 career starts, Dillon Gabriel, who is fully healthy and medically prepared to play, will sit on the bench and watch his NFL dreams possibly fade away. This is the point at which this already bizarre tale goes completely crazy and enters a realm that is nearly unbelievable. The Browns front office is already anticipating the 2026 NFL Draft, while Sanders fights for his career and tries to demonstrate that he is worthy of being an NFL starting quarterback. Even if Sanders wins or loses these final 4 games, they won't be watching. Cleveland has 2 first-round selections in the upcoming draft, one of which is presently ranked 4th overall. In premium franchise quarterback territory, where top prospects are chosen, that is a top 5 selection. This is Sanders' worst nightmare, which must be keeping him up at night. Over the course of these final 4 games, he performs well enough to demonstrate real promise and glimpses of franchise quarterback potential, but not flawlessly enough to allay organizational concerns about whether he is the long-term solution. The Browns then select Quinn Ewers of Texas, Jalen Milroe of Alabama, or whoever they believe to be their true franchise quarterback with that top 5 pick. All of a sudden, Sanders is up against a high first-round pick who has access to all organizational resources, coaching attention, patience, and developmental runway, while Sanders is reduced to a mid-round pick who is expected to take a backup position. Will Cleveland draft their purported real franchise quarterback in 2026, turning Sanders into just another developmental quarterback who is never given a fair chance to prove himself? Or will they truly commit to Sanders and build around him with those premium picks, using them to get him weapons and protection? For the next 10 years, the Browns franchise will be defined by this question. In Sanders' performance in these final 4 games and the front office's assessment of his ceiling will determine the answer over the course of the next 30 days. Since the national media narrative is misrepresenting this story by emphasizing raw statistics without any context, let's discuss what Sanders has actually demonstrated on the field. This is the unbiased reality that comes from watching movies. On almost half of Sanders' dropbacks, he is being hit and under pressure. Only Justin Herbert has a worse pressure rate than that of any quarterback in the NFL. Defenses can rush the passer and pin their ears back without fear of being gashed by the running game because the Browns' offensive line is ranked 30th in the league in terms of run blocking. Therefore, the media is utterly ignoring the chaos that surrounds Sanders on every single snap when they criticize his 52% completion rate. He is throwing to receivers who constantly find it difficult to break free from man coverage. He is working behind an offensive line that is unable to keep him safe for longer than 2 seconds. He's using an offensive scheme that wasn't entirely modified to capitalize on Sanders' strengths because it was created especially for Dillon Gabriel's skill set. This is what's noteworthy, though. Observe what occurs if Sanders is given even a moment more time in the pocket. He's making passes that go over 40 yards with flawless ball placement. Because of his arm strength limitations, Gabriel was physically unable to attempt his threading throws into the narrow windows. His mobility and improvisation are on par with Russell Wilson's as he avoids collapsing pockets and makes accurate throws while running. His 60-yard bomb to Jerry Jeudy against Tennessee and his 66-yard touchdown to Dylan Sampson against the Raiders. He wasn't saved by the receiver on these lucky throws. This is elite arm talent that routinely outperforms NFL defenses in ways that are just not teachable or developable. Either you possess that type of arm or you don't. And Sanders obviously has a lot of it. However, Dillon Gabriel's story merits nuance and justice, so let's not dismiss him entirely either. In his 6 starts, Gabriel wasn't utterly awful. He was average. And if Cleveland truly intends to select a franchise quarterback in 2026 and wants a dependable backup, mediocre might be just what they need. In college, Gabriel's short and intermediate route accuracy was truly exceptional, and he occasionally displayed NFL-caliber accuracy. His processing speed and pocket awareness showed growth that typically takes years to attain. The main issue that was unable to be resolved is that Gabriel is 5'11" and has mediocre arm strength.